You can research the topic of civic engagement. You can look at citizenship. There's certainly a lot of folks in a host of different fields, whether that's political science. Folks here a lot are interested in journalism, of course, and looking from a journalistic perspective at voting patterns, sociologists. So there's lots of sort of research on civic behaviors and attitudes. But there are also a lot of folks in a host of different disciplines. In fact, I would argue in virtually every discipline who are doing their research because of some public purpose to their discipline. And so one of the things we do in terms of taking a civic engagement lens to how people think about their scholarship is push them on that very question. What is the public purpose of your discipline? And that may lead you to more of a community-based research project.
The trick when you first get here is to leave your high school self behind and try to develop a university self, which means understanding that there's more to going to college than just finding classes that don't start before 10 and that fit your schedule. And you want to start looking at the amazing opportunities that are here because of the fabulous faculty.
They may start with, I'm really passionate about this, either in my studies or in what I've considered sort of my personal life, but I want to keep pursuing that. Where does it go? And we will often lead folks to stop thinking about those worlds as isolated. Here's what you do in your personal life in terms of engagement with the community. Here's what you study. Often there's a wonderful nexus there that, again, will make both of those interests much richer.
One of the wonderful things about being at a university is that you're around people that are producers of knowledge. And one of the things that we like to do with all of our undergraduates is move them from that consuming approach to a producing approach. And research is the key in lots of instances to that production activity. Lots of students take classes about the things that they're concerned about and then thinking about how you might make a contribution to our understanding of that issue. So that means talking to the professor in the class that you're taking, seeing if there are student organizations that are working on those issues. If you can come up with a good question that you want to try to answer, that's the beginning of the research project. That turns into, as it gets fancier, into a hypothesis. You begin to look at the literature where other people have tried to figure out whether that hypothesis is in fact correct or not. And then it leads you to sort of what you can contribute in terms of working on that hypothesis yourself.
Some of it depends on how the question is generated. Is it an interest that a student walks in with and says, here's a research question I'm really interested in pursuing, or is it something that's sort of born out of the community? We have folks that come in the other way, where a community organization approaches us and they say, we really could use some intellectual capital here, and we know that your students have that capacity. We're doing X or Y kind of work. What's great about sort of community-based research or research that focuses on civic engagement is it builds out of a lot of students' experiences already. We have so many students here who are really passionate about being engaged in the community. Many of them already have relationships with community organizations, so it provides a platform for them to pursue research, but they have never stopped to think about how they can connect sort of their brains with their hearts.
Biggest pitfall is to be overwhelmed by how big and complicated the issue seems, and therefore, how can I get a hold of it? What can I do about it? How am I really going to be able to understand that? And the way around that pitfall is to break it into practical, simple kinds of pieces.
If students want to do a project that has some community implication or is in partner with a nonprofit or a public organization, that we think about the right balance of collaboration there. So it's not just sort of this ivory tower model of sort of sitting back in the academy figuring out solutions to perceived problems, but if you're really concerned about, say, violence prevention in a community, what's the role of a community partner, an organization who knows that community well, and adding in the notion that expertise doesn't just come from the academy, but also can come from a real community context.
The best advice that I can give students about research is, first take a deep breath. Don't be scared about it. Don't be intimidated by it. 2, find somebody to talk to, professor, a TA, another student, about what it is that you're interested in. And then 3, don't be afraid to walk into a professor's office and talk to him or her about the issues that you want to pursue. In other words, get off your duff and get into the game.
Research, particularly in a community-based setting, can be a wonderful way to kind of remind yourself about the practical realities of how doing policy work is really, really important, but it's only as important as the outcome of that work then might get applied in a community setting that has real impact on students or on schools or on communities. Community-based research, I think, is a really practical way to not only build your academic skills, but also to develop your pre-professional and your citizenship skills.